in fact, the Prime Minister, to unveil a €10 billion plan to boost the economy, also overhaul the labour market. That's the idea anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, Matteo Renzi is really going to try and succeed where his predecessors have failed for years and years now. He'll be unveiling the details a little later on, but his government does think these proposals will boost growth in the Eurozone's third largest economy. Renzi has made fiscal reform a priority since he took office last month. Yuka Royer has the details.
When he became Italy's new Prime Minister last month, Matteo Renzi promised to take bold action swiftly to try and kickstart the economy. The pillar of his ambitious reform plan, around €10 billion in tax cuts by reducing the so-called tax wedge. That's the difference between what an employer pays and what a worker takes home. The aim? To make it easier for companies to hire people as the government tries to tackle soaring unemployment. The jobless rate in Italy hit a record 12.9% in January. The figure was much higher for young people, over 42% among those under the age of 24. Parallel to the tax cuts, Renzi's government also plans to extend unemployment benefits and give more protection to newly hired workers. Also on the agenda, the creation of guarantee funds to boost lending to small businesses. Renzi has also pledged to pay off all of the arrears owed by the public sector to private companies. The Eurozone's third biggest economy is in urgent need of reforms. It's weighed down by a colossal debt of €2 trillion and is struggling to come out of its longest recession since World War II.
Now, Europe's banking sector has been in the spotlight, of course. European finance ministers still trying to reach a deal on how to wind down failing banks, aren't they, Kate?
Yeah, after yet another round of meetings in Brussels, they've still been stuck on these disagreements, basically about how to unwind these failing lenders and who would pay for that process. Germany insisting that it should be the bank's creditors, while other nations believe that EU nations should be held responsible. They have already agreed that the European Central Bank will oversee the Eurozone's 130 largest banks. The goal is to build a European banking union, which they believe could prevent the Eurozone from experiencing another debt crisis. It would have to be agreed before the European Parliament breaks for elections in April. Here's France's finance minister.
It's about breaking the vicious circle between banking debt and sovereign debt. It's about avoiding the economic crisis happening again. It's finally a question of unifying the interest rates in the Eurozone.
Let's turn our attention to the markets now. A real downward trend in Asia this Wednesday. A dip in Chinese copper and iron prices dragging down the Shanghai Composite there a little bit. The Nikkei ending down 2.6%. Investors pessimistic there after Japan's central bank said it wouldn't expand its monetary stimulus measures. Shares in the Chinese media firm China Vision soared over 250%, though, after the e-commerce giant Alibaba announced it had bought a 60% stake in the company for about $800 million.
Now, some of today's other business headlines now. The Bank of England is on the defensive.
Yeah, it's facing criticism of its response to signs of possible manipulation of foreign exchange rates. The bank's governor insists that management responded quickly to the allegations once they emerged last fall. One Bank of England employee has been suspended, but the bank says an internal investigation has produced no evidence that staff was involved in the manipulation scandal. Italy's largest bank, UniCredit, has posted a record €15 billion quarterly loss. It's largely attributed to the bank setting aside billions of euros to cover bad loans that are unlikely to be repaid. Investors responded positively, though, seeing it as a sign that the bank is clearing up its books. And I'll be telling you a little bit about General Motors later on. It's facing a congressional inquiry over a recall last month.
Now then, shopping. We all like to do it occasionally, don't we? But you wouldn't have thought that this guy had enough time. President Barack Obama, he's been on a shopping spree. Yeah, and it was in a store that you wouldn't necessarily expect him to be at the Gap, making a surprise stop there at a store in New York City this Tuesday to buy presents for his two daughters and his wife, Michelle. Let's take a listen.
So we got two down and one to go.
Now, Michelle, I have no idea what.
Okay, well, we do.
Maybe we should buy some socks.
Socks? Oh my gosh, our socks are so cute, but I think it could go a little bit better.
Yeah, we need to be more creative.
Thinking about buying socks for the First Lady of the United States. But President Obama did, of course, have a much more serious message, a reason for this visit. He's been focusing on income inequality in the United States. He's trying to convince Congress to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.75 to $10.10 an hour. Now, Gap, along with a discount giant called Costco, has already taken that step, boosting the salary for entry-level employees to $10 an hour. President Obama said those stores deserve recognition.
So, wanted to lift up companies that are doing the right thing by their employees. For thousands of folks who work at Gap stores all across the country, a little more income, a little more money in their pockets, help them pay the bills.
I love it. Barack Obama there. I'm not sure he was buying socks for Michelle. I don't know that Michelle wears socks.
I don't think so. No. I think she's more of a high heels kind of lady.
I think you're right. I think he was sneakily buying them for himself. It's Kate with business. Coming up, we got 3 Rubik's Cubes done in a row underwater in a minute. Web news, though.